I did hear that. I was just hearing about that this morning. Yeah, we're not going to have good old Boris to kick around anymore. You know, I figure the English want a prime minister that owns a comb. Yeah. All right. Later. Hey, how you doing? What a beautiful day. This is like the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears Day. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just right. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 27 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. That would be me. We are fueled by Gayle's Gas Bars, as always, powered by WeeStreem, executively produced by Kevin, who's behind the camera right now. We'll talk to him in a bit. And we are, of course, ensconced here in the lovely Fiddler's Poorhouse. The window is open. It's a gorgeous day to come on down here, enjoy a lunch, and come on in and say hi to us. We're here till about 1:30. Also, want to thank our sponsors, Performance Heating and Air, Carlo and the gang. Also, Verge Insurance Group, for being a part of our sponsorship family for such a long time. We got a great show coming up for you today. Well, actually, I'll let you be the judge as to whether it's a great show or not. I'm a little biased, but we have some interesting folks coming on. That I can attest to, absolutely and positively, for sure. Oh, it's nice to be in the cool, that is for sure. Also, we're going to look back on the long Canada Day weekend. Hope you had a great one. I still am not sure how many flags you're supposed to have on your car or on your vehicle before you're one of them. I was still very confused about that. However, I guess we won't have an answer for a while. There is a cool archaeological project taking place in St. Catharines called the Shikluna Shipyard Dig. And we're going to have Dr. Kimberly Monk, the leader of that dig, on the program about 1 o'clock today, so join us for that. And a couple of other things we'll bring you up to date with in, how about 30 seconds? Come on in. Hey, we are set. Gosh, what an absolutely gorgeous bit of weather that we're having. Knock on, as it's close enough to wood, as they used to say. Really, really nice way to begin July. And it's so nice to have you with us. And I know you're doing a lot of other things probably while you're watching this show. But I do want to remind you that from no matter where you are, if you're joining us on Niagara 411 Live with Sterry today, you can click in and be a part of the program. You see at the bottom of the screen there, it said just link on or click on this link, this Zoom link. All you need is what you carry around with you every day, your iPad or your iPhone or whatever if you're traveling, and or Samsung phone. Doesn't have to be an Apple phone. It's just a smartphone in general. Most of the phones are smarter than me, so it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is click on that link, make sure your camera's operative and your microphone's operative, and poof, you're on the show. We don't want you to do it while you're driving, but if you got a hands-free thing or whatever, feel free. And at any time throughout the program, you can click on that link, go into our waiting room. You're not going to pop right on the air if you're worried about that, like, oh, what do I do? All you got to do is click on the link. You'll sit in our waiting room. Kevin will look after you, and we'll have a conversation, or we'll hear your opinion on the issues of the day or what it is we're talking about. And while we're talking about Kevin, ladies and gentlemen, on the right-hand side of your screen, Kevin Jack, co-founder of WeeStreem, Canada's premier streaming service, as well as executive producer of this program. KJ, how was your long weekend?
Long weekend was fantastic.
Okay.
Went down to Montebello Park on Thursday. So cool to be a part of that. The Born and Raised concert series. Yeah. We had Joel Carrier on. Got to see, for the first night, Dallas Green up there and thanking St. Catharines, talking about the songs that he wrote, Two Streets Over There. And, when I was 16, I was doing this here and seeing a whole Sam, the record band reunion. And then Sunday we took off, went to Collingwood for a bit of a golf trip.
Oh.
And then, of course, Friday, Canada Day. We had a great time in our cousin's backyard. So thank you very much to Mike and Danielle for handling that and hosting that. And how about you, Lee? And just to let you know, it worked. Off the beginning of the show, we have Daryl in the green room, and I'll get to him in a second. But
awesome.
What did you do on the weekend?
Actually, we were very, very low key on the weekend. My wife had a bit of an accident about a month ago, and she fell down our stairs, actually, which are hardwood. And anyway, she broke a bone, a major bone in her heel. So she's been really, as they say, mobility challenged over the last little while, poor thing. So we've been keeping pretty close to home. And we have wheeled apparatus all over our house. So we were just sort of wheeling her around to various places. So it's been of a challenge, and we're really hoping she gets.
Yeah, my thoughts go to you and Linda, and hopefully for a speedy recovery. Although nothing really moves along as fast as you want.
And to go on top of that, I don't know if everybody's been hearing the horror stories about the Toronto International Airport and all the Canadian airlines that are canceling or delaying flights, etc. And it's absolute carnage. Well, it just so happens that on top of everything else, we are flying to, well, we're supposed to be flying to LA on the 26th of July for a family event down in California. And so I have no idea. Needless to say, it has been a very interesting, fun-filled summer so far for the Sterry family. But you know what? We always work through these things. We've been around the sun too many times to not realize that hard times pass and challenges are solved, and we move on with our lives. So, well, are we going to get to?
We should get to Daryl. Yeah, we got Daryl, and Daryl, I can tell here, is an old family friend of mine. Great guy, but he watches the show all the time, so clicked on, and not sure what it is that he wants to talk about, but it's your show, so I'll let you figure that out.
Well, there we go. Daryl, how you doing? We are looking right up your nose. If you just in case you didn't know that. Can we hear you? That's perfect. What a handsome lad. I can't hear you though, man.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe this is on my end. Let me try and figure it out.
Okay, maybe your buddy Kevin is causing you problems.
Oh, there we go. All right, I think
Daryl,
we're just muted on Daryl's end. Yeah.
Daryl? Really quiet, Kev.
Yeah, what's going on? All right, go ahead.
What happened here? What's going on?
Talk to me, buddy.
We're good, Daryl. What's up?
Talk to me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Daryl, what's up? We can hear you fine.
Me? Sound. What happened to the sound?
I don't know.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great now that we got your shining face on the screen. What can we do for you today, my man?
Not much. Just checking in. You know, you guys are doing a great job. I'm showing how easy it is to connect in a way. I'm all the way from Newmarket, Ontario.
Okay. What are you up to today?
No, we somehow muted him again.
Yeah. It really is easier than this, guys. All right.
All right, well, anyway, all the best, Daryl. All the best to you and your family.
Love you. Thanks for checking in anyway.
Yeah, see you, man. Yeah, and I think he's having problems on his end. Like you mentioned, it is super easy. But that's the way it goes. Now, lots happening around Niagara today, Lee. I don't know if you want to get to the show or what we want to talk about.
I want to rewind just a little bit because I didn't want to keep Daryl waiting for too long. I wanted to rewind a little bit to the long weekend and a related story that is current today but relates to obviously some of the happenings over the weekend because it was a weekend of fireworks. Canada Day is always a weekend of fireworks and celebration, and there is always still some confusion over what you can do in your own backyard. And believe me, there were a few backyards around me that were celebrating big time. And I don't really mind. It's okay. It's not happening at usually 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. I have pets that get upset, but that happens. But there has been a new bylaw struck already, and this is only 4 days after the long weekend. Fireworks prohibited by city bylaw for the remainder of 2022. Now, this applies only to St. Catharines as far as I know. So far, this is only a St. Catharines bylaw update. St. Catharines Fire Service wants to remind both business owners and residents that it is now illegal to sell or set off consumer fireworks in St. Catharines for the remainder of 2022. Now, there's some pivotal language in there. Sell or set off. That's the first piece of language that's important. The other piece of language that's important is consumer fireworks, meaning you or I, as far as I know, or our neighbors in our neighborhood or at our homes. I do not think that is destined to or intended to preclude officially sanctioned fireworks displays on behalf of the city where the fire department will set off experts, pyrotechnics experts, if you will set off the fireworks in safe environments, etc. Like service clubs that throw fireworks, or the city has fireworks displays. I do not believe that is included in this. Residents in St. Catharines were permitted to light consumer fireworks on private property on Victoria Day and Canada Day, including the day before and after the date of the holiday each year. So that clarifies what the policy used to be. Over the last month, St. Catharines Fire Services received a significant number of complaints related to fireworks. And here's their quote. Our main concern here is the safety of our residents beyond the issues of noise complaints impacting neighbors and pets. When people are setting fireworks off, embers and remnants of the fireworks are spreading onto their neighbors' properties. The embers floating around have damaged roofs and can easily cause a fire, said Fire Chief Dave Upper. The city's fireworks bylaw prohibits the selling of consumer fireworks without an approved permit. See, there's another piece of language, without an approved permit. And there are still fireworks retailers that have approved permits, and prohibits setting off fireworks on city property, including parks. The business owners currently selling fireworks will be ticketed by fire prevention inspectors, and property owners may also be ticketed for setting off fireworks illegally in St. Catharines. People can report any unsafe or inappropriate use of fireworks or vendors selling fireworks without a permit by calling St. Catharines Fire Services at the number listed. Now, Kevin, this is one of my gripes with official organizations and cities and municipalities and organizations like the cops and the fire services, etc. Although they do great work, there is so much ambiguity in these kinds of pieces that come out. Just when you think you know exactly what the black and white of the policy is, there's a word or a phrase thrown in there that kind of makes you go, huh? What? Like, what? Now, how? What do you mean by that?
So what do they mean, Lee? What's your interpretation of that in layman terms?
What you used to be able to do in your backyard, you can't do no more.
Okay, yeah,
that's about it.
But the city, or let's say the Lions Club.
And I realize that was bad grammar, by the way. Don't send notes and letters.
But that's the one caveat, is that the organizations that are good at it, that have controlled ignitions and all that, they can still do fireworks displays. So on Labor Day, we may still have a fireworks display in Merritt.
Yeah.
Right.
And it used to be, as they said, you could set off fireworks on the day of, or the day before, or the day after, which meant that you could have your Canada Day party on the Thursday, the Friday, or the Saturday, because Canada Day today was or this year was a Friday. Okay, so it gave family or neighborhood gatherings an opportunity to be flexible with their time frames, but you can't do that anymore, and you're not supposed to set them off at all on your property or in your neighborhood unless you're at a, I guess, well, they didn't use this word, so I won't use it, but selling without a license. Okay, now, I remember, and I don't know that this has happened for a long time, there would be, I don't know, like a 1.5-ton panel truck that would park, let's say, on Lakeshore Road on the other side of the canal, and where they have the florists and everything. The truck would sit there in a parking lot and sell fireworks out of the back of the truck. I would assume that is a non-licensed vendor. Unlike Victoria Fireworks, for example, up on Victoria Avenue, 24. How do you know somebody is a licensed vendor? I guess if they own a building that says we sell fireworks, you'd assume they have a license, but you don't. So this is where the ambiguity sets in. But I think really where the rubber hits the road, and I suppose they have to use that language, but I think the only thing that you really have to know is you can't buy fireworks anywhere and bring them home and set them off for your kids. You can't. Period. At all. In St. Catharines. Other municipalities? Well, we don't know. Different boundary, different rules. So anyway, before we move on to today, I just wanted to get that whole thing
I think that kind of came out of the blue for most people.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming. Just, okay, that's it, no more. So hopefully you blew them all off this weekend. You weren't saving a cash for Labor Day or August 1st or something like that.
But the other thing that was in that release, Kevin, was that it didn't even mention Labor Day. It mentioned the fireworks sanctioned weekends were Victoria Day and Canada Day. It never mentioned Labor Day.
Well, they're saying that those are the ones that have already passed in 2022. I think that's why they brought that up, to say, the former bylaw lets you do it on Canada Day, May 2-4. But this new bylaw...
wouldn't they, if the previous bylaw said, previously allowed us to do it on Victoria Day and Canada Day, and they should have included...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Labor Day. Yeah. I mean, since they're such sticklers for detail, you would have thought they would include that coming up. But I guess they did include it coming up because they said for the remainder of 2022, we're out of Dodge here. But once again, we're going to have people that are the bylaw breakers are going to be bylaw breakers. We'll have cherry bombs going off in somebody's backyard. I mean, on Canada Day, we'd gone to bed. I thought everybody's fireworks were done, and there were some pretty big explosions in the north end of St. Catharines. I don't know from where, but because I didn't report anybody.
No, but I mean, Lee, that video I was showing you there, that was from Municipal Beach or Sunset Beach just a year ago.
Okay, and that's very close to where I live.
Yeah, exactly. That's total north end, and that's just being put on by a collective.
Yeah. Which a collective? Do you mean a collective of citizens?
Yeah, that's my understanding. So that's what
then
I meant.
It's like something like that would not be.
Yeah, can't do that anymore.
No.
All right.
I
think all the dogs are thanking the city of St. Catharines.
Yeah. Woof.
I'll tell you, Lee, I'm not going to miss it.
No.
I was never one to set off personal fireworks in the backyard. It seemed more dangerous than I needed it to be.
You know the people that I have some empathy for? I say empathy, but it's almost sympathy, are the people that live in the vicinity of the Niagara Falls. Because do not they have, over the course of the summer, big fireworks explosions going off there like every night? At 10 o'clock at night or something? Like almost every single night?
Yeah, something like 170 straight nights.
Can you imagine? I would not want to...
It's a contentious debate right now in Niagara Falls.
It's a beautiful thing for tourists, but
because of the pandemic, it hasn't been there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? So once it's gone, people start to wonder, well, do we need to bring them back?
Yeah.
Right? Do we need to bring them back? And the debate will probably continue. Where do you want to go, Lee?
I want to go to our sponsors first of all. I want to remind people that Gayle's Gas Bars Limited is our brand name sponsor. They fuel this program, and they have done so for quite some time now, and I want to make sure that we do not take them for granted. They've been doing so much in the Niagara region for Niagara. Gayle's Gas Bars also is one of Niagara's few rainbow registered companies, which since we just went through Pride Month of June was something very, very significant to note, in the fact that it's a safety zone for all shapes and sizes and colors and orientations of Niagarans and its visitors at all of their locations. So that's a pretty cool thing. Also to Performance Heating and Air, thank you, Carlo. I know you've had a busy season. People get into air conditioning season and things break down. You got people running all over the place, and probably got a lot of calls over the long weekend, because people's appliances tend to break down on long weekends. I don't know why it is, but it seems to be the case, if you know what I mean. Verge Insurance Group, thank you so much, Mark Shirk, Blake, and your staff, and all the people that have been protecting Niagara's assets for all these years. Thank you for still being part of this program. Kevin, before we move on, I want to tee up who's coming up on the program, but as far as WeeStream is concerned, we will occasionally be moving this program around not too much over the course of the summer, but occasionally the WeeStream guys, Kevin and Brandon, get super busy. How are the streaming initiatives going these days?
Pretty robustly, to be honest, but by design. We've got young families. You mentioned that with Carlo. They care about Niagarans because they've got families too, and we're in the same business. We kind of slow things down in the summer on purpose. So we've got a lot of camping. I'll be going to Bissell's next week, and as a result, we're going to move the show to Wednesday. And we've got camping adventures and families to visit and water parks to go to. And all of nature's bounty. It's going to be a fun summer.
And you're doing the Bissell's thing next weekend?
Yeah, next week.
Awesome.
Going there right after the show on Wednesday. We'll be going out to Bissell's, and even interrupting it there, I'm going to squeeze out to Balls Falls to stream the NPCA board meeting.
Well, hey,
on the Friday. I'm dedicated.
There's absolutely nothing wrong. I'm just sharing the feed here, by the way.
Well, it's good. I encourage anybody to do that. If you're watching right now, please just tap on that little share button and just say share now, or share now to your news feed. You don't have to type anything. If you do, you can put in, hey, love this show. If you've never seen it, take a peek.
Yeah.
These guys are all about Niagara. They're live.
Or things like never put this show on again. Stuff like that.
For example,
all right. So, well, enjoy your time at Bissell's.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely.
And like I said, I got a trip to California. It sounds very flashy, I know. Going to California. Whoopee. Well, we have family there. And we have had an aunt, my Aunt Margaret, that was, and her husband Jeff, that passed a few years ago. Their aunt and uncle and their children, our cousins, etc., we were really super close to. And we're having a celebration of life that has been put on hold, as so many have, because of COVID. That's happening at the end of July. And we'll be spending some time in Ventura, one of the beautiful places on the west coast of California. So that's where we're going, and I just hope that we're able to get through the airport in time to make it. We're going down there for about 5 days, so if we get delayed a day, not a big deal. But Kevin, the scenes that we see, and the reason I'm talking about this is for all of you who may have trips planned that are supposed to take you through Toronto Airport or any of the Canadian international airports, but Toronto's the worst. Boy, I wish you all the best, because there are still thousands and thousands of pieces of luggage that have not been claimed. People keep going back to the airport to try to find their luggage and search through the thousands of bags that are there. And even the airport says this could be going on for months, and we're really not sure Why? Most of us have our suspicions, which is, mine is airlines really attempting to save money and operating with minimal expenses at all costs, meaning maintenance, flights not full, staff not up to par, and there are also in the airline industry right now, there are also labor disputes going on. WestJet and a few others have baggage handlers, and like all 2 or 3 different contract negotiations are going on for air travel organizations in Canada. So it's a real mess right now. Ask me why I did not plan to fly out of Buffalo. I don't know. I was stupid. Because flying into LA out of Buffalo is so much easier than going out of Toronto.
So now we'd have to listen to my mom's advice, which was, show up to the airport, 14 hours early, I think was what my parents used to do.
Yeah. Just stupid.
Lee, some crazy stuff over the weekend with the NRP. We got the grandparent scam, and we also have these yellow water bottles that are showing up. But before we do that, we encourage people to just click on and join the program. And friend of the show, Dave Benison, has joined us on the show. So let's see if we can get Dave on here.
Dave Benison, how are you, my friend? We used you mercilessly and unwaveringly as our trucker consultant through the last Freedom Convoy. What can we do for you today?
Well, I figured I'd call in because you've got a great guest coming up later on, and I thought there was something I'd love to tie into that.
Okay.
Of course, about the archaeological dig, and something I posted on my historical Niagara site yesterday kind of ties in a little bit, but I thought it'd be interesting to put this because we're talking shipwrecks.
Yes.
So, everybody knows, or a lot of people in Niagara know, about a place called Waverly Beach out on Lake Erie.
Oh, of course.
It actually preceded Crystal Beach from 1885 up to 1930. Well, at the end of the pier that's at Waverly Beach, there's a shipwreck there. And this shipwreck has gone kind of unknown. Nobody kind of knew what it was for the longest time. And over the last 5 years, it's sort of caught my attention. I started doing some digging, but with COVID coming up, it was hard to get information from places. Finally, yesterday, I stopped in at the Buffalo Library and did a little bit of digging, and I found some information on this shipwreck. And it was pretty interesting to find out. Now, there wasn't a lot of it, but it was interesting to find out what that shipwreck was.
Kevin has some shots of the historical Niagara piece up on the screen right now, so people can have a look at it. Yeah, it is interesting, Dave, and thank you for helping me promote our guest. Dr. Kimberly Monk is going to be here. She's a Brock University archaeologist and marine historian, and we're going to be talking about the Shikluna shipyard dig happening in St. Catharines, just underneath the Burgoyne Bridge. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah,
it is, and they're doing fantastic work, and the history of the first and second Welland Canal.
Yeah,
it's great. But with this shipwreck, it's pretty interesting to find out that, from what I read, that this was what they call a schooner barge. So back in the 1800s, at the end of the 1800s, they started taking a lot of the old wooden ships because they were starting to convert to metal ships.
Right.
And a lot of those old schooners, they didn't know what to do with them, so they actually would cut them down and turn them into barges.
Okay.
So this one here, when the park was being built, from 1885 up to about 1902, 1903, they had a wooden pier there. But so many people started coming to this park, they had to build a bigger pier. So there's a concrete pier there now, and they had to lay all the stones and the wood and everything. So they actually loaded this barge from Buffalo and brought all the stuff over to build this big pier. And then what they did was they sunk it after it was built, because first of all, the barge was going into disuse.
Yeah.
But also they needed a natural barrier because it's really shallow there.
Right.
So it made a natural barrier. So, and that's what's been sitting there, but it's been lost to sort of time. Lake Erie has 270 kind of known shipwrecks and discovered ones, but there's over 1,500 other shipwrecks on Lake Erie alone that haven't even been found yet.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
The history of shipwrecks around the world, and especially on the coasts of Canada, the East Coast as well as the Great Lakes, are really legendary. We have no idea how many of these things are. So this is really amazing information.
And it ties perfectly in with what's happening.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to having Dr. Monk on. Super to see you. Are you calling me from your new truck now, are you?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually sitting here, believe it or not, I'm up in our yard in Toronto. I don't know if you can hear, but our yard is right underneath the Toronto airport. So you might hear that, right now I'm looking out and there's an airplane flying right over top.
Well, at least there's one airplane in the air. We don't know how many. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of them flying today. So.
Okay, man. Dave, thanks for joining us.
And one last thing before we go.
Shoot.
Those yellow jugs.
Yeah.
That's Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys doing that.
What?
It's actually Bubbles from Trailer. People who watch Trailer Park Boys will get it. No, it's actually Ricky's dad. It's, as he will say, it's the way of the road.
Okay.
And for Trailer Park Boys, they're laughing right now because they know what I'm talking
I'm sure they are. It's not in my vocabulary, but thanks for the tip.
Exactly. Anyway, you take care, and
you too, man.
And have a great interview with
Dave,
Dr.
otherwise
He's
known
as
Dave, otherwise known as Stick to the Story Benison. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks.
Take care. All right.
Yeah, I think the moral there, Lee, is don't drink yellow water.
No.
Don't eat yellow snow. Don't drink yellow water.
Well, when it comes to that story, as the local officials are calling it, yellow fluid bottle issue incidents. People are finding somebody's throwing these what they call yellow fluid bottles. People are describing them differently, but here's the release. NRPS investigating, again, and I quote, yellow fluid bottle incidents. The cops have got to be saying, what? We're investigating what? Come on. More than 50 incidents have occurred across Niagara on the Lake, Grimsby, Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, Thorold, Pelham, and Welland. The incidents are believed to be occurring overnight. The residents awake to find a plastic bottle containing an unknown yellow fluid. Now, there's been some debate about the color. Some say it's kind of a weird white or whatever, but anyway, the cops call it a yellow fluid. On their property, sometimes in the backyard. Several of the bottles have been seized and forensically examined by detectives from the NRPS Forensic Service Unit. Testing on the yellow fluid has found it to be not volatile. However, caution is recommended. Residents are asked to minimize their physical contact with the bottle until our officers attend or we give them other direction. We cannot rule out that this may also be vetting technique by criminals to determine whether a homeowner is present. Hey, that's interesting. If the bottle's still there tomorrow, maybe nobody's home. That's not a bad idea. That's one of the smartest things I've seen come out of the NRPS for a while. So, smart. We would encourage homeowners to frequently check their properties, and if they're going on vacation, to have a trusted person do it for them. Generally, the bottles are appearing with no associated damage or theft. Isn't that? I would have never thought of that, Kevin. That's why I'm not a police officer.
Or a criminal.
Well, true. We're not sure about that.
But it makes sense. Now, they say in the backyard, but I wonder if they just place it by the front door. Looks inconspicuous. But hey, you're right. If you're the criminal and you come back the next day, the day after, and the bottle's still sitting there, I'm putting two and two together.
But that's why we always used to have somebody pick up our mail for us when we went on vacation. Remember over the years? Or newspapers. Not a lot of people get newspapers these days, but they'd pile up in the driveway or they'd pile up a sheer sign that nobody's home.
Yeah, now, Lee, a couple of days before the NRP put out this release, I noticed that people on Niagara 411 were already talking about it.
Yes.
So they are right. This is happening, and here's something from the community page.
Yeah, multiple reports of people finding a water bottle with a cloudy white substance. Now, see, this is where I'm saying the color conflicts come in their front and backyards in Grimsby on the west side. Smells like rotten egg / soup. Oh, people in Chippewa would be familiar with that when the Norton was there. People don't seem interested in testing the substance or taking information, as they say no crime has happened. Well, the police release would sort of counteract that. May have been driving a newer model white Buick Enclave. Some people suspect that individuals might be casing houses to see if people are away on vacation. Well, there's that suggestion again that didn't occur to stupid old me. So that's at least one example of what we're talking about here.
I'll see what the comments said, Lee.
I know one guy said that looks like Gatorade. At least that's the way it tasted. I thought that was funny. Maybe the police should let the public know where to get it tested before someone drinks it. Well, why would anybody drink it? This was posted a month and a bit ago, and there's another picture of where to get it tested before you drink it. Excuse me, but I don't think whether it's tested or not, anybody's going to be drinking it. Warning dog lovers. Someone is throwing water bottles with who knows what in them in people's backyards in the Martindale Road area. A local vet has gotten a number of calls on this. We found this in our backyard in our dog's mouth. We got it in time. It was not punctured, so no leakage in the dog's mouth. No idea what it is. That's another thing to consider is pets. Does somebody have a pet issue? And another post. This was happening in Jordan in June. So it's all over the place. This is kind of an interesting case, though, Kevin. You have to, as sort of silly as it sounds, it might not be that silly. It is an interesting case.
It's perplexing, and I would tend to agree with the cops for the number of times that it's happening. That maybe it is they're casing or vetting.
Maybe it's
places.
a new way to case the joint. Coming up at 12:40, by the way, Gayle Hanlon. We talked to Gayle a little while ago about students visiting here from France, a program that she's looking after, and they require billets, etc. We'll talk about that. She's headmistress of the Agate Private School. We have talked to her before as an expert on homeschooling. We had a couple of chats with her, you might remember, through the COVID era when children were learning from home, etc. So she's coming up in, five minutes or so. 1 o'clock, as we mentioned, Dr. Kimberly Monk. Also, Team Super Jacob is got another fundraiser underway, and we're going to be chatting with them before 1:30 today. Our musical guest is going to be Wax Mannequin, and they've got a song called Love for Gold that we're going to play for you to play us off the stage later. Kevin, the grandson scam. Can we get to that before we do Gayle? Now, this is one thing that we've talked about so many times, and I'm to be perfectly honest, I am very surprised that this still exists. Now, the victims of these scams, of this particular scam, must be incredibly old or inexperienced or just out to, they're vulnerable. They're the most vulnerable members of our community. They have to be, because this is something that would be a real stretch. I mean, I even think of my mom when she's 80s and 90s. I can't see her being taken in by this, but she might have been. Okay, so here's the update with the grandchild scam. On the 21st of June, NRPS detectives assigned to the Central Fraud Unit obtained photographs of a suspect wanted in connection with a fraud investigation where an elderly complainant was deceived into believing her grandson had been arrested by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and was in immediate need of assistance in order to be released from custody. So how this scam works is a call comes in to a person's home. The person on the other end is pretending to be an officer and says your son so-and-so or grandson so-and-so has been arrested, and it's an unfortunate circumstances, but they can be released upon payment of a certain sum of money. Then the person agrees to get this sum of money out of their accounts, and then someone pretending to be an officer of the law comes to the house to pick up the money. Now, this is something that is never, ever, ever, ever really done in law enforcement. This just does, it's not the way law, like arrests and prosecutions take place. It just never, ever happens this way. But these are incredibly clear photos of a woman that was the person picking up the payments from the grandparents who had been taken in by this scam to take the money away to free their grandchild who is mythically in some imaginary jail. And I don't know how you can get clearer pictures than this. Kevin and I talk all the time about terrible surveillance photos, but these are not them. These are very, very clear renditions of one of the suspects.
Yeah, the sad thing is here, Lee, is that the NRP said that since they put out their initial release about 2-3 weeks ago, that 8 other people have come forward to say they were victims of the very same scam connected to this
with
woman.
this person.
And as a result, they got this new image of her, of the suspect, and also the suspect vehicle.
Like, how could you? I mean, she will be found. I mean, there's that with those kinds of photos, she will be located.
Yeah, somebody knows her.
Oh yeah.
She may not be local, but somebody knows her.
Oh, I can guarantee. I guarantee. I can almost guarantee she's not local. You're not gonna do this in your own community. But
just crazily.
I just feel so sorry for these people that, and it doesn't seem that no matter how many times we warn people that these things don't happen this way, these are not real people. Your grandchildren are fine, and if somebody calls saying they're your grandchild, or saying, if anybody calls about anything to do with your finances, just hang up. I get calls all the time, Kevin. This is the Visa Security Center, and no, it isn't. Goodbye. I'm out. So they just don't happen that way. It's so frustrating for me because we try so hard to inform people how to keep themselves safe from these things, and it continues to happen. We have with us, don't be one of those. Gayle Hanlon is joining us on Niagara 411 Live, and you know what? I've missed her cheery smile and happy attitude, so this is a really nice early summer happiness fix. You always make me feel good when I talk to you. How you doing, Gayle?
I am unspeakably marvelous, especially after that kind welcome.
See that? Unspeakably marvelous. How does somebody, you walk into people on the street and say, how you doing? Nobody ever says, I'm unspeakably marvelous today. Well, thank you for being here.
And you helped that happen, so.
Well, yeah, I enjoy to it. I'm unspeakably marvelous, just having a chance to do this and talk to people like you. Now, we know you wearing a few different hats. The first time we met you, you were talking about different things to think about with regard to homeschooling throughout the COVID pandemic, and they were all really super helpful chats that we had. And the last time we talked, there was a period of time coming up, which is now here, where you're running a program for students temporarily immigrating to Canada from France and requiring billets, etc. So bring us up to date. That's why we're here today, right? So you can bring us up to date?
Yes. So I've been with this not-for-profit called NACEL, NACEL, which is the basket of a balloon. Right? So, or if you're a Star Trek junkie like I am, then it's the sides with the power thrusters. And so this company has been, well, it's a company, but it's a not-for-profit agency. They've been bringing kids to Canada for ESL for over 60 years. And I've been with the company agency for over 20 years.
Wow.
22 if you count the 2 years of COVID that we didn't have students. So we have usually 100 to 150 kids from France and Spain who come here specifically to become part of a Canadian family, to learn about Canada, to improve their English on a conversational basis.
Right.
So things like, these students stay with the host family exclusively, generally speaking. So they will come in your family. If you are retired couple, you can host. If you are an active family with young kids, you will love having students like these because they love your kids. They will help you get them in and out of the van, all these things. I was a single mom when I started hosting, and I had 2 kids of my own and 2 foster children. And
Wow.
the students just adored the kids. And it took a little bit of stress off of me because I had somebody to play with them that I didn't have to be 100%, like I was there 100%. But then the kids, too, even the young ones, were helping these students improve their English.
Right.
So we were in the kitchen, and I asked my daughter to pass me the spatula. And the student looks at me going, "What's that? I've never heard that word before." Because that's one of those words that you will never see on a classroom English vocabulary
No, probably not.
lesson. Or cutlery. I mean, they know knife, fork, and spoon if they've
Sure.
taken any English at all. But when you say cutlery or condiments or different words that they haven't heard, and you use them in your daily life.
Yeah.
These
So, Gayle,
kids,
but
yeah.
is that really the ultimate goal of this program that's been operating this long? Is to help present an alternate culture to these people and language? Is that really
Absolutely.
the intent?
That is absolutely the sharing of cultures.
Okay.
Sharing of, so if the students come into your home with your kids, they always bring gifts. Oh my gosh. The profile that we send to France to the natural parents of the students. Now these students are between 13 and 17.
Okay.
So they bring gifts for people in the family. It could be a book of the area that they're from. So I have books on Paris and they brought puzzles with English with the French and Spanish words on them.
Right.
Just so generous.
So, are these students here now, or is it a process of them coming when they have a place to stay?
We had 16 arrive on Sunday.
Okay.
And we have 16 more arriving this coming Sunday. So I am short 2 homes.
2?
For
Just 2?
the student. 2. I need 2 more homes.
Okay.
For a 14-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy. So I've got
Awesome.
homes for all the rest of them. I'm
All
just
right.
stuck for these 2 hosts for this.
Okay,
program.
so we're looking. There's where the rubber hits the road in this
Look at
conversation.
this guy here, Lee. I mean, hide your daughters. This guy's a heartthrob.
Stop that now.
Oh, sorry.
That's not the direction this conversation is supposed to go. Kevin, shame on you.
Sorry.
Shame on you.
I'm just stating the obvious.
Shame on. Well, if it's obvious, you don't have to state it. Gayle, All kidding aside, we're looking for 2 families, and if somebody's watching right now that has an idea that they or someone they know would be a perfect fit for this program, how do we find you? What do we do?
Okay, so the website, I gave it to Kevin earlier. I don't know if
but he doesn't share with me.
Yeah.
Share it with us right now.
My website is learnfree.ca, and then it's /host-a-student.
But if we go to learnfree.ca,
learnfree.ca, you will see it on the top
yeah,
of the website, hosting a student.
and right there you see on our screen where to click and sign up and etc. Well, congratulations, Gayle, on finding all of these placements so far. That's just awesome. Now, how long? How long is the billet?
This is a 3-week program.
Oh,
the
okay.
ones that arrived last week are a 4-week program.
All right.
So it's very short.
So it's a couple of.
You end up with lifelong friendships.
Right.
I have not hosted a student who didn't invite me to visit them in their home country.
One more question for you. Did you find when you started this, when you had your children with your first billet, did your children pick up a lot of the francophone
They did.
style things as well?
They were so fascinated that they could understand something in another language. And the best benefit was the self-esteem that a young child who maybe the student says a word incorrectly and the young child will correct them. They feel this self-esteem like, I taught an older person something new. And
That's cool.
And they just loved it.
All right.
And there is remuneration. Even though it's a not-for-profit, you're not being asked to do it for free. Should not be out of pocket. This program does remunerate.
At what level?
Well, the 4-week program, which they all have homes right now, is $700 for the 4 weeks, and the 3-week program is $500.
Okay.
And
all right, so that's good. So it basically pays for your room and board and food, and
Yeah. And they bring money for activities. So if you are going to, different places, CN Tower or Niagara Falls, and they have their own money to spend on those things.
Can I ask you something that is a bit of a sensitive question, I guess?
Of course.
In these days of us wanting to make sure that our young people are safe, is there vetting of these families that want to bring one of these young people into their homes so that we don't run into problems?
A police check.
Pardon?
Yeah, we do require a police check.
Okay.
So there and those can be, a vulnerable sector police check now can be done online with the NRPS for only $20.
Okay. All right. It's just one of those things that will always be part of the conversation now.
Yeah. And they come with their insurance, medical insurance. So if anything happens here, they are covered. You are not liable in any way. Good
point as well. Well, I think we covered, I think we connected the dots here, Gayle. And again, always a pleasure to chat with you. And I hope you enjoy the remainder of your summer.
I absolutely will. I have my grandchildren with me. They're
lucky
2
you.
and 4. And so I am living the life.
Well, thank you for spending part of your life here with us today. You have a great week and weekend. All right.
Thank you. You too. All the best.
Yeah. Cheers. Huh. What an uplifting personality she is. I can't think of any other way to put it. Kevin, there were some other things going on around Niagara over the last little while.
Yeah, let me check in with one. So, last week we had on the program, we had Joel Carrier on the show.
Yeah.
Right? The head of Dynalone Records and really the driving force behind
Born and Raised over here, yeah.
And over the last day or so, it takes a little while to wind down from the event. He started sharing some photos, and it was just absolutely, this is an iconic weekend for St. Catharines.
It went very, very well from what I hear, too.
So this is from the Alexis on Fire official, I think that's their Instagram feed, and there you see the boys back together.
And look at the crowd in the background. That's Montebello Park.
Just going absolutely nuts.
And that looks like a much larger venue at a much more auspicious event, but that's over the weekend at Montebello Park, Alexis on Fire. Dallas Green's, the band for which he is most, I can comfortably say, most well known.
But here's the shot. I mean, look at that. That's Montebello Park. That's awesome.
That is so wonderful to see after what we've been through, meaning collectively all over the country, over the last couple of years. For us, for an event to be able to be staged like that in Niagara anywhere is terrific.
Let me see if I can peek at who's on the stage there.
That's cool.
Really make it up. I mean, it was so much fun down there.
I'm so happy about that.
Let's see what else he's got. So there's some cool drone footage. I mean, here he is. This here, Lee, is what he dubbed the Sam the Record Man reunion at the Penn Center. So all these guys, and I mean, I think that guy there is Steve Stumble.
Right.
And just bumped in. I bumped into Joel actually.
Yeah.
So I got to meet Joel when I was down at Montebello Park on Thursday.
That's
just walking
Joel.
by.
That's the tall guy with the flipped up brim. And
and there's our buddy Pooley.
Yeah.
There's Joel there.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
And I didn't
right?
hear from any of the celebrations in St. Catharines here at Montebello Park, and for that matter in Niagara Falls, which was absolutely crazy as well, as I understand it. The tunnel attracted, that we talked about last week at the Niagara Power Station, attracted thousands and thousands of people as well. And unless I jinx it by saying this, Kevin, I don't remember any horrible incidents or stories of terribly bad behavior generally coming out of the weekend's festivities. So that made me feel pretty good as well. I mean, there were some isolated incidents, but nothing major came out of all those thousands and thousands of people being in Niagara for the weekend.
Something else I can share, Lee, is I had a role in the Magic of Niagara 411.
Yes, you did, and this is a prime example of how Niagara 411 works and why we attach Niagara 411 live to that concept. So here's this nice looking family with one on the way, by the looks of it, that shows up because a person found their iPad found July the 4th on the road, Wessel Road, south of Sawmill Road, Pelham. It's been damaged, but it was still open and the owner was located. Now, how was that owner located, you might ask? Well, here's how the owner was located. Kevin Jack, yes, our very own Kevin Jack, puts up a post and says, "Hey, do you still have the iPad? Are you still looking for owners? Because we thought that we might be able to make a connection through the program here for some reason." So Lorna Whitfield says, "Kevin Jack, yes." Then a Kirk Windsor says, "Kevin Jack, this is Jeff Scrumpf in the picture. More than likely his iPad. He lives in the area." Okay. Then if you know how to contact him, he can PM me on Messenger, said Lorna. Jeff then sees the post through the connection and says, "Lorna Whitfield, my number is," and there it is. Then Kevin Jack says, "Kirk Windsor, crazy, happy this worked." Kirk says, "Kevin Jack, I only noticed this post because you commented on it." And then Jeff Scrumpf says, "Hi, yes, that's mine. Thanks." So there's how, as I've said before, anything can be used for good or evil, and especially social media. And this is one of those cases where you say, all right, here's a prime example of how these connections, how this so-called web of communications can work for good and make connections that work. And kudos to you, Kevin, for throwing that post up there. That was really just a shot in the dark. Like, you had no idea.
Yeah, so
you didn't know these people.
Doing exactly, and you know what though, is that the photo is like somebody must know these, right? Must know these people.
Oh, you can't go in front. Well, I mean, Niagara 411 has over 110,000 subscribers or followers. Out of those 110,000 followers in Niagara, somebody's got to know something.
Somebody knows Jeff Schrompf.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was my buddy Kirk, and Kirk is a guy, he's a dad, he's got a great family. I've played hockey with and against him over the years. And the only reason that popped up in his feed is because I commented on it. So I love how that worked, and I'm actually happy that we were able to find the owner before it came to the program. It's magical how that works.
That is very cool.
And I encourage people to go check out the Communities tab on Niagara 411 because there are a lot of things like that. Lost keys, found them in a park, lost cell phone, damaged cell phone. So if you've lost something, check the community page. Not everything makes it onto the main page, but there's a lot of community submissions.
And clue into this
right
program every week as well, because there's all kinds of connections between the connections that we provide here on the show.
Yeah, now, Lee, we do have Dr. Kimberly Monk here in the green room.
Great.
So we'll get to her in just a second. But as you can see here, you mentioned off the top of the program, it is a perfect day, and there you see the perfect seats are waiting for you to come down and see the show in person, and, of course, grab some of the delicious grub down here at Fiddler's Poorhouse.
Yeah, and we thank them again for allowing us to take up some of their space every week to do Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry, fueled by Gayle's Gas Bars, supported by Performance Heating and Air, Verge Insurance Group, as well as WeeStream, Canada's premier streaming company. And without putting too much of a point on it, this chat that we're going to have with Dr. Kimberly Monk is probably, it's almost a 2-month work in progress to try to put together. Dr. Monk, welcome to the program. Can we see and hear each other okay?
I can hear you just fine, Lee.
Okay, and you as well. First of all, welcome to the program. Glad we finally had a chance to put this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are a busy lady. Now, just to give the folks a bit of a background, the Shikluna shipyards were put together by a Maltese immigrant way back. It operated, his name was Shikluna. It operated from 1838 to 1891. And over time, it just became a part of history. And that's where Dr. Monk comes in. She's a Brock University archaeologist, as well as a marine historian, a marine archaeologist, etc. So, Dr. Monk, just what I'd like to do today with you, and I'm sorry I'm waiting so long to ask you a question, is get a little bit of a real quick overview from you about what the Shikluna shipyard is, what your project is, and where we are now. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you take it away.
Okay, well, so the Shikluna shipyard, the eponymous Louis Shikluna, after which it's named, was, as you say, a Maltese immigrant. He originally settled in New York State and then was invited by William Hamilton Merritt to settle at the shipyard that was previously occupied by a man by the name of Russell Armington. And Shikluna actually began operations in 1837 and started producing ships come 1838, right through to his passing in 1880, at which point his son, Joseph Shikluna, took over the shipyard and continued operations until around until about 1890, at which point they then leased the property off to the Catherine's box and basket making manufactory, which was producing boxes and baskets for our wonderful Niagara veg and fruit. So again, it's had certainly a long period from the first Welland Canal and producing. In fact, that particular site is so important because it in fact launched the first ship that would see its hull glide along 12 Mile Creek in 1828, just prior to the opening of the first Welland Canal. So there's a long-standing legacy there of the site itself. But Louis, of course, who had began his skills or refined his skills as a shipbuilder at the Royal Navy dockyards under his father and grandfather, and then would eventually, of course, extend his skill to a variety of craft, oceanic, lake-based marine craft, to much smaller vessels. So it, actually excavating a shipyard is so rare too. So we're very fortunate actually to be working on the site, and of course it's so important to the city of St. Catharines.
Now, to help people zero in a little bit on where the site actually is, now that we have that great big new spectacle of the Burgoyne Bridge, connecting,
not so new actually.
Connecting east and west, it's pretty much right below that, isn't it?
It is, and in fact, there's been a bridge. The original Burgoyne Bridge was built there in 1915. So of course we've had a bridge connecting the city corridor with St. Paul's Street west for over a century now.
Right. Now, as the canal system evolved, of course, time moves on, and the shipyards operated until 1891. Well, a fair bit of time has passed since 1891, and now Shikluna at the time, would I be right in saying that he then, when the shipyards became a non sequitur for him, that he allowed the city to use it as a fill area? Is that why we now have an archaeological dig?
So of course, his family ended up selling the property to the city of St. Catharines in around 1930s, at least so far the records suggest.
Okay.
So it became city property by the 1930s.
Right.
At which point, it has been used for the cadet training, the cadets, and that's why it's called Renown Road. Why the Shikluna shipyard is Renown Road. I used to like to think it was renowned because of Shikluna, but in fact, it was because it was named after HMS Renown, which was the cadet training mock ship that they had on the premises. And there's some great images of that, and the park that it became over the course of the 30s and 40s. By the 1950s, the city used it for maintenance, and it then was repurposed again. The site has been repurposed through history.
Right.
Of course, as sites are.
Sure.
But we began the operations as a result of this new Burgoyne Bridge development. The work that had gone on there had disturbed the site, and it certainly, having wanted to do this project for almost 20 years, or at that point about 15, the time was right. The time was right to get on with it and to get it done. So
you sort of half answered a question I hadn't even asked yet, which is how, after all of these years, what was the motivation for and the inspiration for this project? Was it your idea? How did this project? How did the dig start?
Great question. So the origins of this project actually are because of my roots in maritime archaeology. I'm a practicing underwater archaeologist, and as part of my graduate studies, when I was studying down in North Carolina, I chose to take on a ship that was sunk at the Port of Toronto, and the ship was named the Sligo. She was built at the Shikluna shipyard in 1860 and sank in 1918, and so began my love affair with Louis Shikluna and the shipyard, and of course learning more about the site of shipbuilding. So I've worked on a couple of Shikluna shipwrecks now, and so that project actually was done, the original underwater project was done in 2001. So, a bit of time has passed since then, but we'll continue to do work on underwater sites relating to Shikluna, but of course now the focus is specifically on the shipyard.
Now, do you have to do underwater work yourself? Like, do you dive?
I am. I'm a dive instructor, in fact.
Yeah. Fascinating. So there was a clear me up here a little bit in the fact that you were in full sort of dig mode, and then there was a period of downtime for a while. What was the reason for that?
Well, of course, with the COVID pandemic hitting, we certainly, as both, for our research and for our students, couldn't possibly have operated or continued to run the project.
Right.
It's a community project too, and we want the community to be involved
Sure.
in it. So clearly, we didn't want to put ourselves or anyone at risk. So unfortunately, after 2019, we did intend to return to the site in 2020. But that has been postponed until now. So this year, we're of course so excited. We've had some time to think about the site, to start to come to further interpretation about the site material, and also sort of build also a community around the project, who again are, keep us going. They inspire us, because again, part of this is telling the story about St. Catharines, about Niagara, and its importance in maritime history.
One of the reasons that we wanted to chat today is the fact that there is an opportunity, and at least as I heard it, and always correct me if I'm wrong, because it happens with great frequency. With regard to where the dig is right now, is there a way for folks in our community to get involved, or are you looking for people to help or volunteer or whatever?
All of the above.
Okay.
So we actually do have opportunities to involve the public. Those with dig experience, in fact, if they've gone on to an archaeological field school, or if they've participated in a dig in the past, can join us actually on site in the field. Or for those who don't, they were very welcome to help us with artifacts, which is generally the fun bit. At the lab, in a nice air-conditioned lab at the university.
Nice air-conditioned lab.
Yeah, which is great and comfortable. So we have those opportunities for the public to get involved specifically. Of course, we also are going to be offering our community open days, which will be held on August 10th, 13th, and 14th.
Okay.
We'll be advertising those shortly on our social media. So they are free for anyone to come and attend. They'll be given a tour of the site and the excavation areas, plus they'll have an opportunity to talk with some of the researchers and see some of the artifacts. So they were a great success in 2019, and we're very keen to offer them again. So we will, I would recommend for the public to stay in tune with the project as we continue using our social media on Facebook at Shikluna Shipyard, or on Instagram at Dig the Shipyard, because those will allow us to connect with them and let them know how they can, join us or.
Terrific.
Yeah.
And also make sure you keep us linked through Niagara 411 and all that stuff. Put us on your what we used to call a mailing list, if you will.
We will do, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd love to see you guys out there and doing a little.
I will chat with you off the air here at some point, because I would. It's a huge interest of mine. I would just love to see what you're doing there in person.
You did a fabulous voiceover, of course, originally, Lee. So we thank you for that voiceover, and it was wonderful. Again, it really gave people the sense of what the project was about. So thank you for that.
Well, let me wrap this up, Doctor, by asking you what your ultimate goal is. And I know these things can go on, archaeological digs can go on for hundreds of years, depending on what's going on. But if you were to say, by the time this project is wrapped up in a bow, what are you hoping to have accomplished, or how do you know when you're done?
The question is, are you ever done? That really is the bottom line. But certainly for our work, it's really going to be telling the story of the shipyard. Not all of the stories about the shipyard are in documents, and so a lot of them we'll see actually only through physical examination of the site. So that's why our work is important. Plus, we're working on a shipyard. These are so rare. Most of them have been built over, have been raised. There is no evidence that a shipyard or any archaeology left to diagnose the shipyard. So our work really will be the first of its kind, looking at a very historic shipyard in Canada.
Are we going to be able to, when you have finally, when you've dug the last dig, if you will, will there be something left behind, like some sort of memorial or tribute or something to the work that you've done there and to the shipyard itself?
So we still have conversations to have with the city of St. Catharines about how the property is going to be used, what the next steps are.
Okay.
Part of our next stage of work will be a 5-year research grant that we'll be putting in next year that will allow us to dig the ship. And so essentially what we would like at some point is some sort of a museum display, but also something on site that helps to, again, recognize the contributions of Louis Shikluna, and not only Shikluna, but all of his laborers who actually helped to build these ships. These were the foundations of the city of St. Catharines. It's marine history, which actually helped for it to reach where it is today.
Well, we look forward to the continuing updates on the Shikluna shipyard dig. I am so pleased that we finally connected. Schedules being what they are these days, it's not easy, but we did it, and I'm happy about it. Dr. Kimberly Monk, please come back and talk to us again, and I'm so happy you joined us today, and keep up the great work. It's really exciting.
Thank you so much, Lee. It was a delight, and it was great to speak with you.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Terrific stuff, Kevin. Gosh. I mean, these are Discovery Channel shows that that you could watch hours about. But
this is our history, right?
Right here in our backyard.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's our history. Lee, here we find ourselves 117 on the program, and I see a couple of great faces there in the green room.
Well, let's move right along because time, it does not wait for any show at all, and we wanted to get Team Super Jacob. Hey, Team Super Jacob, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How you guys doing? Everybody well?
We're doing good, thank you.
Okay. I take it I'm talking to Nancy.
That's correct.
And Nancy is Jacob's mom? Yeah?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. You can actually yap to me. Nodding, nodding is good, but talking is better.
All right.
Okay, so how is the Team Super Jacob initiative going these days? How are you guys doing with this?
We are doing very well. We have started this a couple of years ago, and we are having a lot of fun sorting cans and bottles and counting and sending the money off to the Niagara Children's Center.
Yeah, so all of the proceeds from all of the initiatives, you guys go to the Niagara Children's Center, just to repeat that for everybody. Nancy, just in case somebody might have been living under a rock over the last couple of years, can you just remind people that are watching the program today on how what is behind Team Super Jacob and how it got started?
All right, so my son Jacob here was diagnosed with with autism. So back when he was at daycare, the caregivers noticed he wasn't meeting milestones. So we were in touch with a resource consultant through the daycare, and they connected us with the Niagara Children's Center. So Jacob then shortly thereafter started speech therapy and occupational therapy to kind of help him along. And then we got the diagnosis of autism just before he started school.
Right.
And we continued on as long as we could. So Jacob now just finished grade 2.
Yay!
So doing well, meeting grade level expectations.
Excellent, excellent.
He's doing good. We still have some behavioral things that we're working on, and through courses through the center, help getting along. So Jacob became an ambassador for the
Yes,
center.
right.
And as an ambassador, we had a goal to set to fundraise. And we're like, okay, let's start a bottle drive. And it was in COVID. Beer stores weren't taking anything back in large quantities. However, we're like, okay, we'll do donations, and we go straight to the beer store in Stony Creek with trailer fulls of donations. So, and that's how.
And it's gone from there.
And it's gone from there. That's right. From something that was like a day thing to summer-long projects, and now we collect year-round.
That's awesome. And with that in mind, you have an event coming up. So tell us about that one.
That's right. This Saturday in Beamsville, we have volunteers that will help unload vehicles, a drive-through event, so people don't need to get out of their car. It's taking place at the Lincoln Center parking lot, which is 4361 Central Avenue,
right
by the pool. And follow the signs, pull up, open your trunk. Our lovely volunteers of family and friends are going to be there to help unload vehicles, and we'll sort, and like I said, all the proceeds go to the Niagara Children's Center. That
is awesome as usual. And you have a Facebook page as well, do you not, for Team Super Jacob?
That's right.
Sorry? Oh, we got a freeze. That's okay.
That happens.
It happens. But
so they do have a Facebook page. If you just search for Team Super Jacob, it'll come up, and you can see right here, Lee. I mean, these are some of the signs that are...
Contact.
Oh, okay, here we go. We got you back. We just lost you there for a second, Nancy.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
That's okay. I think we got all the info out there. We have the graphics up for you, and again, we can't say enough about folks like you that get these initiatives going, and they just grow into what something like this Team Super Jacob bottle drive initiative has done. So Nancy, thank you so much. We know your family has challenges that you didn't ask for, and it's amazing how you step up. And Jacob, always nice to see your happy face, and you have fun this Saturday at the bottle drive, okay? Yeah, okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great weekend, okay? Bye. What wonderful people. What a great family. And I admire people so much that go that extra mile to go beyond just helping themselves to doing something to help others or to give back, because I know what the Niagara Children's Center means to people like Jacob's family, and for them to do this and then and give back to an organization that helps them, it's sort of the concept that makes communities and hopefully our society work. When you've got so many dark things that you hear every day, when you got stuff like that, those are the things that really matter. Those are the things you really want to hear about on a daily basis. Kevin?
And you know what, Lee? It's not always, the big efforts like Team Super Jacob. Sometimes it's just the little things.
Yeah, it's just,
And I mean, here's one, Lee, and maybe we'll end the show on this one, but this just coming through to Niagara 411, and it's such a small thing, but it meant so much to this person.
Sometimes it's the smallest gesture that makes the most impact. A thank you for a kind stranger. Those words from Nick at Niagara 411. And by the way, hey, Nick, always appreciate partnering with your organization. Hello to Nick's mom. Don't want to miss that. I was at a local store this morning, and after checking out, asked the cashier to call me a taxi. The lady seemed to be new, so she called another staff member, and neither knew how to use the company phone. Luckily, a kind lady in line behind me offered to use her cell so I could get home. It sounds like a small thing, but it sure made a big difference in my day, so I wanted to give her a shout out and say thank you. And those are little things. Not a big deal. Nobody said, well, hey, I can call you a taxi. It's not a big deal. And done. And the person that walked away that offered the help probably never even gave it a second thought as the day went by. So it's very nice that somebody else did, and and said thanks. Lesson 1.
You kidding me? These are the comments?
Learn how to use the phone. Young ones need to be taught how to use a landline. What if there was an emergency? And that was a totally different direction.
Yeah, I was expecting
than the post was supposed
absolutely.
to.
This is your takeaway from this 10-year bar?
Learn how to use the phone.
God.
Love when you share these. Now these are good comments. To the lady that assisted, I wish you cool pillows every night. Here we go, Kevin, with the cool pillow. You know what?
The cool pillows.
You haunt me now almost every night while I'm laying in bed, and that sounds weird, I know, but Kevin and I had this conversation a number of months ago when somebody put a comment up that like that and said, we wish you cool pillows every night. Kevin did not know there was a cool pillow thing.
I didn't know there was a cool side of the pillow, and you do it every night.
Yeah, it's the side your head's not on.
And you say you wake up robotically
and flip my pillow over. Or what I'll do is I go to bed and I'm reading my book. I always read a novel or some sort of thing for a few minutes. Makes me sleepy. I go to bed, sleep. So, but oftentimes by then, I don't know, my neck's a little sweaty or something. So I flip the pillow over so that when I put my face on it, I got the cool side up. You have never heard of this thing?
No, you're a cool character, Lee.
The cool side, well, let's not go that far, but it's the cool side pillow club.
I've never heard it as an expression either.
Well,
may you have cool pillows.
May you have cool pillows every night. I think
that's saying that. Cool pillows.
I think that's a very nice sentiment because it's a very pleasant thing.
I think it's a great expression.
Have you tried it since we talked about it?
No, I have not. But when I see something that I'm about to say, boy, that's cool, I'm going to say cool pillows.
Tonight, if you wake up in the middle of the night, just for giggles, flip the pillow over.
Flip it over. All right. I'll see how it works.
See what it feels like.
See how it works.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, mothers and dads, brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, thanks for being here on the program. It's been fun today. I've really enjoyed this day. I appreciate Gayle Hanlon for joining us yet again. She is looking for 2 more families to host a couple of teenage boys that are coming here from France for their 3-week program that they run. You can find her online, listen to the show, and we'll post bits, etc. Dr. Kimberly Monk, Brock University archaeologist, professor and marine historian. Fascinating work you do, and thanks for being here to talk to us about the Shikluna shipyard dig just under the Burgoyne Bridge on 12 Mile Creek. Fascinating. Team Super, Jacob, thank you for being here. Dave Benison, it was great to have you check in. And maybe Darryl will try again at some point next week and get your computer working. But it's been a cool. Be careful of the grandson scam. Do not give money to anybody that calls you on the phone. Nobody. Doesn't matter whether it's a bank, a charge card company, a police officer. Nobody. No money, nobody on the phone ever, okay? Please. And if you have elderly relatives or friends that live on their own and are vulnerable to this kind of thing, please warn them about it. Wax Mannequin. I guess we're about that time, eh, Kev?
Yeah, we are here.
Wax Mannequin is the band that is going to play us off the stage here from our Season 3, Episode 27 version of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. They have a tune. You're going to have a tune. There's an old-fashioned word. A song and a video, the title called Love for Gold. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks, Gales. Thank you, Performance Heating and Air. Thank you, Virgin Insurance Group. And thank you, WeeStream, Kevin, Jack, and Brandon Scram for being able to pull off this technology and do what we love to do so well here. And congratulations on all the vendors and all the promoters of all the events in all of our municipalities about on what happened over the long Canada Day weekend. We have seen so many fabulous pictures. We showed some shots earlier, Montebello Park, thousands and thousands of people flooding Niagara. And yeah, sure, it can cause some traffic hassles at some point in time, but I know for a fact over the weekend, Fiddler's Poorhouse here was absolutely jammed. They were just crazy busy, which is what we want to see restaurants be in the summer these days after the last couple of years. So wonderful these events came off well. We're looking forward to more of them, and this was a really, really good start. Okay, so enough of me. Wax Mannequin, Love for Gold. Have a super, super weekend. It looks like we've got another nice spate of weather coming up. So cheers and thanks for being here. Happy Niagara. Cheers.
One cold night in winter, how cruel that wind did blow. I chanced upon a fair maid out on a bank of snow. With a baby in her arms, she had no place to go. I stopped a while and listened to hear what she would say. Hear what she would say. Hear what she would say. Hear what she'd say. Hear what she would say. Ooh, ooh. How cruel was my father. He barred those doors on me. And cruel, cruel was my mother. She might have shown pity. And cruel those wintry winds, they filled my heart with cold. Cruel that false young man, he sold his love for gold. 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 I'll go to yonder valley, and there I shall kneel down. I'll pray to the Almighty for all that I've done. And I'll forgive my father who barred those doors on me. And I'll forgive my mother, she might have shown pity. And I'll forgive those wintry winds, they filled my heart with cold. I will not forgive that false young man who sold his love for gold. Sold his love for gold. Sold his love for gold. Who sold his love for gold? Sold his love for gold. Kissed her baby's icy lips, laid it by her side. She looked to the dark sky above, then laid down and died. She laid right 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 down and died. Then she died.